Welcome to Ohio FFA Career Connection. Throughout this series, we will explore just a few of the vast career opportunities in Ohio agriculture. Whether you want to work on a farm or in an office, laboratory, field, or classroom, FFA prepares us to be successful. Together, we'll get to know various professionals and learn how we can jumpstart our future careers while still in FFA. Let's get started. I'm glad to be visiting with Jacob Cook, a precision ag specialist at Koenig Equipment. Thanks for joining us, Jacob.
Thanks, Jake. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start learning a little bit about your background. How did you come to work in agriculture?
So I grew up in a small town in West Central Ohio. Grew up in a very small community. I didn't grow up with FFA in school, but I grew up on our family's farm. My dad didn't decide to farm, but my grandpa and uncle did. So I grew up helping them on the hog and grain farm, and then continued to work for several farmers, whether it was baling hay, raising livestock throughout my early years. My grandpa played a large role in getting me involved in the agricultural field. It allowed me to go to Ohio State in the agricultural systems management program, which prepared me for a very vast career path, as in not very well defined on what we wanted to do. So it prepared me for hydraulics, motors, agronomy, business. It kind of made me very well rounded in my education with agriculture, which allowed me then to step into the precision ag field. It was a great stepping stone to get me to where I am today.
Now, what did that career path look like? You exited college. Did you go straight to Koenig Equipment to become an ag precision specialist? What did that look like in the progression of your career?
Yep. So when I graduated from Ohio State, I had already had my job lined up with Koenig's. I knew I wanted to come back home. Columbus was a great time. I fully recommend it to everybody, but it wasn't where I wanted to stay forever. I knew that. So I wanted to come back home, and growing up on our farm, we're all John Deere. So Koenig's was our local dealership. So when I saw the opportunity to be part of Koenig's, it was a very good opportunity. And then I knew after taking a precision ag class at Ohio State that that's a large part of the future of agriculture, or at least production agriculture. So it'd be a great spot to get into early. So it was a great opportunity at the time. And so I started right after graduation. And then I've been with Koenig's ever since, and it's continued to evolve into more and more roles at the dealership, but I still focus mainly on the precision ag side.
That's exciting to hear. Now, I know that most ag majors at really any university level, internships are pushed, those hands-on experiences while you're getting that education. Could you talk a little bit about maybe an experience you had in a class or an internship you had over the summer that kind of set you for a path of success in your career?
So as you said, you'll find out your college professors or parents or mentors, whoever is going to promote you to do as much as you possibly can when you're young. My dad said one of two things will come from it. Either you'll find out that's what you want to do for the rest of life, or you won't. So I took every opportunity to have every part-time job, internship, club involvement that I did in my time at Ohio State as well as at home. So that allowed me to do internships that were anywhere from agronomy to custom harvesting in North Carolina to just working in a trailer shop. It allowed me to be very diversified and get to have a very well-rounded experience, which came down to the end being the most important part was the networking I involved from it. People that I met, the opportunities I had has really put me on the path to where I am today.
Now, ag systems management is a very general major. Like you said, it covered many aspects. Did you have a favorite class in college, or did you know that it was always going to be precision agriculture?
So my sophomore, I believe it was my sophomore year of college, I took Professor John Fulton's precision ag class. It was just an intro class to it. At the time, that's all they had, and it was clear from the get-go that that's where we were going to go. So it really helped me to define that, hey, I'd like to do that. Now, unfortunately, with the ASM program, there's not a lot of defining as we've talked about. So it was very broad. So I didn't get to carry down that path as much, but it helped steer me towards internship opportunities that would lead me towards technology with equipment or agronomy and things kind of like that. So that way I could come back to that main focal point.
Could you attribute anything from childhood or working on the family farm growing up to a career now? Do you see the similarities, or do you see the growth, especially working in precision agriculture and using the latest technologies?
Yeah, so growing up, I always was fascinated with tractors and combines and large equipment. I loved running them. As we all know, production agriculture is a large part of that. So it allowed me to stay in that kind of field of what I enjoyed to do. And then just being able to integrate it. I mean, I'm from the generation that started with technology. I can remember having a computer at home. Now we didn't have internet, but we had a computer so we could play solitaire and stuff like that. So we were used to growing up with that technology. So being able to be part of that and see it integrate kind of from the beginning, so to speak, has been wonderful. And it also allows me to help relate to some of the farmers that I deal with of, hey, you've got to start somewhere. So let's take that leap now.
Now, why did you decide to stay in agriculture? Because you could have gone to any path. You had some business experience, you had some animal agriculture experience. You really could have gone anywhere. But why stay in agriculture and production agriculture specifically?
It just is what I wanted to do. Once it clicked, it wasn't until I was between my junior and senior year of high school that it really clicked of, hey, agriculture is for me. I like working with people. It's very social. I played a lot of sports inside and outside of school. So I was used to different friend groups like that. I liked being outside when I was doing it, and I just like to be hands-on. And if you like those kind of three things, I guess you could almost call it the ag retail world, even in my role, is a great place to be for that kind of relationship.
Now, could you describe to us what precision agriculture is? Because from my basic view, I see it as row crop farming, but I believe it's a lot more. Could you give us some insight of what is precision agriculture in general?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's probably a little misunderstood at times. Most people think precision agriculture is just being maybe the straight technology. Oh, hey, my tractor drives in a straight line. Well, yeah, that's one of the things we do. We make equipment drive straight and accurately pass to pass. You're like, well, that's just being lazy. I know it helps us increase our efficiency, be more productive during the day, maximize our machinery. We also make our machinery more efficient. So it's planters. A lot of technology is going into increase singulation on corn planters. Well, we found through studies that the more precise we can plant corn, the better yield we can have. More even emergence can correlate to improved yields. So we work on technology like that and how to make it efficient across the farm. There's also things just like yield mapping. Okay, great. We have this high-end planter. What do we do with all this information? Well, in the combine, then we can come in and we see our yield maps, which then allow us to make decisions. Hey, is the varieties we're using, is that right for our soil type? Is that right for our farm? Should we switch to this? Okay, hey, we've got these drown out spots. How can we make changes with it? So it's a lot more than just, hey, we make it drive. We're doing a lot more agronomically in the background of, hey, how can we help you with this information? Or we're providing an outlet for you to view it and make a decision that'll benefit the farm at home.
Now, how does that farmer producer implement precision ag into their operation? Is it a company like Koenig coming in and providing contracting services and selling them technology? How does it physically go from you as a company developing it and many other ag companies developing precision ag technology to the farm?
So that's a great question. A lot of it is Deere has already integrated it. It's coming standard in new combines, tractors, sprayers, planters. We have all this technology. So a lot in what I do in my role is I'm that, I guess, middleman would be a great way to put it. I'm teaching you how to use it. Hey, you've got all this at your fingertips. Let's use it. Let's face it, if we don't understand something and I'm guilty of it, I'm going to tend not to use it at home. But if somebody shows me and teaches me what we can do and it piques my interest, I'm going to take it to the next step and say, okay, hey, can we use it for X, Y, Z? So in my role, I'm able to kind of help get you to that point of making decisions. And then you become kind of a repeat customer of, hey, Jacob, can we do this because we've already got this? Well, not quite, but if we do this, then we can do all this plus what you wanted. So then you kind of become a trusted advisor in what they think and kind of help them make their decisions because of what they know and what they can and can't do with the equipment they farm with.
Tell us a little bit about your primary responsibilities in this position, in the office and in the field.
So I'd say that I spend probably at least half my time out in the field. During season, we've got two parts. We got preseason and in season. Preseason, I'm spending a lot of time on the farm, getting everything ready to roll, whether that's new pieces of equipment to the farm, new or used, getting it set up, ready to roll, and getting the producer or the farmer acquainted with the machine. You know, they may have jumped from a drill to a bean planter. Well, that's a big difference in itself. So, doing a physical walk around, teaching them how to set depth, check gauge wheel, downforce, things like that, making sure they're ready to roll. And then getting in the cab and showing them all the fancy features. They've got section control, they've got the auto steer. How does that work? Getting them comfortable with it. So that's going to be my preseason workload, whether that's the spring or the fall. And then we're going to go into the season where it becomes much more troubleshooting. Hey, phone calls, Jacob, I can't get this to work, or I can't remember how you said it. So it's, hey, we need to go here, here, and here. Let's look at this. Or what's the planner physically doing? The monitor is going to tell us something. We just got to figure out what it is and where to go to fix that problem. So it's just a lot of troubleshooting. And there's some service that goes along with that. Okay, hey, something did break, or I've got to go out there and physically fix it. But a lot of times it's just putting out the fire. In the office, it's still a lot of, I do a lot of selling as well as support for it. So, we're doing paperwork, getting things lined up, getting parts, as well as supporting the rest of the dealership organization, whether that's sales or service when they have questions. Also, a lot of meeting with new customers. So there's a lot of times I'll tag team with a salesman and we'll go out and we'll meet, say, a competitive customer or just a new customer to Koenigs that's maybe not happy with a different dealership they're dealing with. So they can have that interaction and maybe find a face that they know when they're at our meetings or different things like that. They're comfortable calling Jacob Cook at Koenigs because they've met me before. So there's a lot of that face-to-face interaction year round.
How many precision ag specialists are at your company? Then how many customers would you service? So do you have a list of 20 clients that you work periodically throughout the year? How does that work with your customer base?
So currently at Koenigs, as we expand our precision ag department with the growing demand, we have 4 here in Ohio and 2 in Indiana, since we cover both states. Always looking to grow because there's just so much involvement. Everything we do continues to evolve and progress. And as the big guys get new stuff, then the smaller guys are getting their hand-me-down, so to speak, so that way they can implement that technology on their farm. So it's always demanding. At the current time, I have approximately 30 farms of varying sizes that I work with at least twice a year, but that's always growing. Those are guaranteed every year. And then I probably work with another 40 to 60 guys on top of that are buying new pieces, new to them pieces, new pieces, and getting them up and rolling, as well as it's always evolving. Like I said, somebody decides that they bought that new combine that has it, let's try it and get it on there. So they didn't have it last year, they come on next year. So it's ever evolving and ever growing.
When a customer buys a new combine or new tractor, do they get initial training and then you come in and add more technology based on the services they need?
Yeah, so that's a great question. What we do as a organization is we go out and basically field start that machine. So that's where I'm going out there, that preseason trip of, hey, I'm getting you acquainted with the machine. And then when I go out there again, after you started, we're optimizing it. We're making it run as efficiently as possible, showing you all those bells and whistles that we talked about that you probably forgot about because I was just pressing buttons and we weren't harvesting corn. So we really get to dive into what that machine can do and make sure that you as the grower are utilizing everything as efficiently as possible and making sure you're seeing the value of, we added a $10,000 option to it. Here's why. Oh, well, that's really cool. If I didn't show it to you, you'd be like, nah, I probably shouldn't have bought it, but I did anyways. And then from that point, okay, so we've got, say, auto steer in the combine. Oh, what's it going to take to put this on my tractor? Okay, well, here we can take these pieces and move them and do this and that. And then it just kind of, it's a revolving door. Once we introduce you to something, it's a snowball effect. It just kind of rolls really out of control sometimes, and we get you really involved for some guys. And some guys are like, well, no, this is enough for one time. So it's very different for each customer.
I believe the coolest thing about the agriculture industry is that you can have a degree in one thing and totally pivot to another industry. So talk a little bit about the education level of folks in your company and maybe what type of education is needed to succeed in a career in precision agriculture.
So throughout our dealership organization, there's all sorts of varying levels of education, whether that's technical schools for some of our road technicians and shop guys, to some of them just went to community college and that are working any role. It just depends. A lot of guys that end up even in my role have started somewhere else in the dealership, whether that's on the service side or in the parts department or even sales to a certain degree. We can transition, and that's what helps make us all more of a well-rounded person and can help serve our customers better, is being able to have our foot in multiple doors, so to speak. What education I would think is you just got to be able to learn on your feet. As we see now, there's more and more demand for a high-level degree, whether that's college education of an associate's or a bachelor's degree, is almost the norm, so to speak, these days. So that's probably where you'd have to go. But as long as you can learn on the fly. I'd say 90% of what I do day to day has been learned through trial and error, whether that's failing and fixing the problem or learning it through deer trainings, through internal stuff, learning from farmers or other dealers. There's always room to grow and where we can learn at.
Now tell me the relationship between Deere and then Koenig.
So John Deere is the mother company, so to speak. So that's who we work for. Koenig's is the family organization that owns the Koenig dealers. So there are, I want to say, 15 locations across Ohio and Indiana, whether those are lawn and garden or large ag, that serve under Deere. So we have a contract to sell John Deere equipment through John Deere Company.
What do you enjoy most about your job? So when you wake up in the morning, I know it's not always fun to wake up early and go to work, but what makes you excited to get up, go work in the field, go work in the office?
And there's two big things for me. I love the flexibility of this job. During the spring and fall, it's nothing to work an 80-hour week, but I don't mind it. I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm enjoying working with my farmers. But then if I need to go do something else or leave or set my own schedule up, I have that ability to. So I love the flexibility. The other thing is I really enjoy working with a lot of my customers. They're great people. I'm making a difference there. They see it. They want to be involved and they make it worthwhile.
What skills do you think folks in your position need to succeed? Whether that's, I heard a lot of communication, relationships, and customers, but what are some of those skills that truly set you apart in the industry?
I believe you said it yourself, it's communication is the biggest thing. Whether you know or you don't know an answer, you've got to be able to articulate that and then get a person the answer, whether that's your sales guys or your customer in general. So you got to be able to communicate. Another one, big one's problem solving. So I talked about, trial and error and learning things. You got to be able to know what to look for. Okay. Hey, I've got these symptoms. What do they show? It's almost like being a doctor without being a doctor. Hey, you've got a symptom. Now what's the cause? So being able to problem solve on your feet and either A, be able to find the information or B, just be able to know that information off the top of your head becomes a really big challenge. And then the third part is kind of like detective work or looking ahead. Okay, hey, you bought this or that. Well, what else can we do with it? How else can we improve on the farm? Where can we apply this that maybe you're not thinking about, whether that's utilizing things that are just coming out from Deere or just utilizing what we already have available on the farm. So those are a couple really big skills that I've helped develop and I think is pretty important to have in my industry.
What does the leadership pyramid look like in a dealership? So who do you provide leadership to and who's above you? Who do you look for advice and kind of company leadership?
So each of our departments, whether that's sales, service, parts, or support, all has kind of their own boss that they report to. And then there's our CEOs and their leads above them. So my boss, he provides for all 6 of us underneath him support, whether that's contacting customers that aren't satisfied for various reasons, whether that's in our control or out of our control, helping us with knowledge. My boss has been doing it for going on 12 years now. So he's had a lot of experience doing precision ag. There's very few things that he doesn't know. So he's a very good reference tool for us as well as his partners, his customers as well. And then for me, having been in the role for just a little over 3 years now since I graduated, I kind of help him train a lot of our new guys. So when they're coming on or either as interns or full time, I usually spend a lot of time on the road with them, kind of helping get them up to speed. There's no better experience than doing it, trial by fire, sink or swim. So we get to learn a lot and see a lot in the field. Unfortunately, it's pretty tough to learn some of the things unless you get that hands-on experience. I'm a very hands-on learner, so reading it in a book's okay, but I need to feel it or see it or do it. So it's a really great way to get those guys experience. So I try to show them as much as possible when we have somebody start, or even helping support the salesman the same way of, hey, this is why we can't do this, but we can do this.
Now, I heard a fun term. You just said internship. What kind of precision ag internships does Koenig offer? Is there a lot in the industry?
I think that there is becoming more and more as, again, we see the technology side taking over the ag world. Koenig's tends to offer at least one in each state. It just depends on what we have to do what myself and my counterparts do. So the day-to-day. The toughest part about being in my role is the summer is about the slowest time of the year for us. Other than getting a few combines ready for wheat and sprayers rolling, we're not as busy as we are in the spring and the fall. So that can be a downside for a lot of precision ag internships is that summer months, it's kind of slow. We're starting to see more and more data management kind of internships in the precision ag world that do things year round, whether that's drone flying, agronomic imagery, things like that, so they can analyze more data for customers. Those are very popular, and we're seeing more and more of them as startup companies come in, and then bigger companies such as Deere or Case purchase those to integrate them into their own platforms. We see more internship opportunities available, but we always like to see the internships so that way either like I said earlier, it's either going to work or it's not going to work for you. So it's a great way to learn. So we like to provide for that as well.
Now, with every opportunity comes challenges, of course. What do you believe are the biggest challenges in your career?
A lot of it would stem from opportunity to grow sometimes. As we're a smaller department now, there's only one guy above me. So to go over top of him would be kind of challenging. So that room for growth can be challenging and kind of, to some people, a setback if you're really concerned about titles and things like that. Another thing is there's only so much potential out there. So, you can bottleneck yourself as dealerships grow to try to increase who you cover. You can only do so much. You can only cover so many. So it becomes kind of an inhibitor there at times.
What is one misconception most people have about your job or about precision ag in general?
So a big misconception, especially about my job in particular, is that all we do is the tech side. Hey, just think about your IT guy. Well, hey, all we do is the fix the stuff, which I think is very untrue. As you talk to precision ag people in general, you'll find that they're pretty good wealth of knowledge, whether that's on service or company programs or the parts department, how things work. We're usually pretty good. And some of us can even wrench a little bit. So that way, if there is something minor when we're out on the farm, we can usually get it fixed, which everybody appreciates a non-service bill if they don't have to have one. I'm guilty of it as well. So it's just knowing that, hey, we're not just one person. We don't do just one job. We wear many hats when we're out on the farm. And then again, in the ag world in general, it's just that you have to be of a large size. A lot of people think we need to be 5,000 acres to pay. Well, what if I told you that if you have only triangle-shaped fields, you can pay for it just as fast on 500 acres as you can 5,000 on a square field? So we start running those numbers and making sure that people understand that just because it's got a big price tag sometimes doesn't mean it's not for everybody. There is a benefit on each farm for this kind of technology.
Jacob, if there's a student watching this video right now and they're just merely considering a career in precision agriculture or agronomy or something in this industry, what do you say to them to encourage just exploring this pathway?
Yeah, my biggest thing would be give somebody a call. If you know a friend of a mother who's in that, give them a call, ask questions when you're at the fair or you're at church with them. Hey, what do you do? Well, that seems kind of cool. Can you come right along? Most companies, you sign a waiver and they're happy to take you along to show what you do for many reasons. One, you get to see what Cannings is about in general for me, or you get to see what we want to do. One of two things can come of that. You find out that you really like that, or it's worth coming back or doing some more research. Or two, you decide, hey, that's not for me. Maybe I want to go into the animal production side or the agronomy side. You go do those same things. So just being able to communicate and reach out and not be afraid. What's the worst thing that can happen? They tell you no. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just got to go out and do it.
I love that. And within FFA, we have many opportunities for FFA members to explore precision agriculture. Ohio and many Ohio agricultural organizations offer plenty of camps for youth, conferences, but also our career development events and competitions. And students can focus their time in the industry through a supervised agricultural experience in really any area. So how else can students start preparing for a career now in this industry if they know they're set and they're looking forward to a career like yours?
So my biggest thing is networking. We had to take a networking class at Ohio State, one of the best classes I took. And it talked about, getting your name out there, seeing everybody you can do, shaking all those hands, making connections. And that was such a great thing because you never know who you're going to run into or, again, who they may know. In the world we live in now, it's not always about what you know, but it's about who you know. So, if you made a good impression on this person, wherever, whether that's at a career fair, at an FFA camp, you can kind of make that connection and they may remember you. If you stand out or polite and that you can show that you know what you want to do and have a passion for something, that goes a long way for a lot of employers. It rubs off on me. It's like, okay, hey, somebody actually cares. They want to do this. We don't know if they're going to make it or not, or if it's really for them, but we won't know unless you give them a shot. And by doing those kind of things, it sticks out. So being involved, communicating, networking, it's just all great ways to take advantage of programs that FFA offers, a lot of local communities have, and even farms at home that are willing to help hook you guys up with different opportunities.
100%. And that's the exciting thing about careers in agriculture. There's so much opportunity and there's so much networking when you're in the industry. And the industry you work in is ever growing. There's so much technology coming through and coming out of large companies. What's one piece that students should be excited about? What's a new piece of technology that you guys sell or that you've been using lately that would excite students?
The nice thing about the ag world too is it's ever changing. So just because we at a dealership or a production situation doesn't offer it now, it's ever changing. So that's where it comes into technologies like See and Spray is a big thing that Deere's came out with now. It's going to basically spot spray only the weedy areas or pest areas of the field. That's going to allow us to save a tremendous amount on chemical. It's going to be a lot better for the environment. It's just going to be better for everybody involved. So it's a great way. We didn't have that 3 or 4 years ago. So it's continually evolving, which means there's always new opportunities to learn or get your foot in the door for something different. It doesn't always have to be defined by the book of this is what we do or what's out there. A lot of places you can make your own kind of definition of that and fit right in as new things come or leave.
Now, the job market can be quite competitive sometimes. So what skills make a good precision specialist?
Dedication is a big one. Being dedicated to what you do, liking what you do, and just being willing to go that extra mile all the time. Even if it's a Saturday afternoon and your phone rings during harvest, picking it up, going that extra mile. I've had several comments, hey, they call after hours, 6, 7 o'clock on Saturday night, and I happen to be near my phone. I pick it up and solve a 2-minute problem that saves them a lot of headache over the weekend, and it goes the longest mile. So being able to go that extra mile, be dedicated to service your customers, it is a big thing. We keep talking about it and you're going to hate me by the end of it, but communication is so huge for that. It's just being able to get what you need out there. Well, exactly what we're doing now is just talking about what I do. If I can't tell you what I'm doing, you'll never know what I'm doing. So being able to teach that and communicate that clearly is a big one.
If you could leave one last thing with those watching right now about precision ag or your journey, your educational journey, your career journey, what would that be?
Do everything possible that you can to experience as much as you can. Again, I said it, I graduated with 44 kids in my high school class. So some of your FFA members may relate to that, and some are like, holy cow, that's so tiny. So take advantage of everything. Obviously, when you grow up somewhere that small, you're not very exposed to everything the world has to offer. So take the trips with your FFA chapters. When you go to college, if you go to college, go on all the different trips that your clubs provide. Be part of all these different clubs, even if it's not something that you're really interested in. I wasn't a big agronomy guy, and I was in the Crops and Soils Club at Ohio State. We got to do lots of cool things. We heard from several different speakers that kind of tell you, just like I am today, different opportunities there are that they have, being able to go out and do stuff. One of my college professors said it best: don't let your schooling get in the way of your education, meaning go do every internship. Don't be afraid to move away. Be in a club. Go play club sports. Go travel abroad. Do whatever you need to do just to make yourself a well-rounded person so that way you know what you want to do. So don't be afraid to experience new things. I know it's scary to move away from home. It is. I wasn't looking forward to Columbus at first. Loved it. Had a lot of great opportunities. But just be able to take that leap of faith and try something.
Jacob, thanks for taking the time to share your career experiences with Ohio FFA members today.
Thanks, Jake. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all the best.
FFA develops our potential and helps us discover our talent through hands-on experiences, which gives us tools to achieve real-world success. If you're interested in pursuing a similar career path to the one highlighted in this video, there's a couple ways in which you can get started. One option to dive in and learn more is through a supervised agricultural experience. While completing an SAE, you will cultivate valuable employability skills while gaining work experience as a volunteer, paid employee, or maybe even as your own boss. To learn more, talk to your ag teacher or visit saeforall.org. In addition, through career development events, you can put your knowledge to the test. Ohio FFA offers more than 40 CDEs. Here are a few CDEs that can help you further explore this career path. Ask your FFA advisor for more information about how to get involved. As FFA members, it's important for us to start making these connections and finding future possibilities that align with our interests. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Ohio FFA Career Connection, which is made possible by Ohio Corn and Wheat. Thanks for tuning in.